I suppose, Minister, justice, Oireachtas justice denied, in that is the main thrust of going to double the working days allowable, to allow people a proper chance to organise, put together and fight their case if they have the prospect of penalty points being imposed against them. I suppose there's no other sector of society, well, except farmers, that are targeted as much for going about their daily work. You could imagine if some person was working in a factory or on a building site or in any other place of work, and there was people down on top of them as much as what they're down on top of the fishermen and indeed our farmers. And of course there's another group as well, lorry drivers with the RSA, another crowd that are tormenting people as well. There are certain categories of people in Ireland today that their work, and these are hard-working people, they're treated like criminals. Before they do anything, they're treated like criminals. And like, you would have to really shake your head and say, why? A typical example now tonight is, why again would you resist this? Why would you not see the common sense in saying yes, that the extra 30 days should be added on to allow people a proper time to put together their defence? It is a fact, when people go out fishing, they can be gone for a period of time, and if the weather is good, and if they're catching, and if things are going their way, they're not going to be coming in. And if there's the preparation of a case to try and defend themselves, or the prospect of continuing to make their living, if they're getting on good when they're outside, how in the name of God can they be coming in to fight a case like that? But of course, that's what you want to do. You want to take them off the water because you don't want them to be fishing in the first place. Because if you did, you wouldn't be doing half of what you're doing against them. It just doesn't make sense. And again, it comes back to the whole thing of, what have farmers, what have fishermen done to this present government to say that you tried to impede them, upset them, torment them, agitate them, and come down on top of them every way you can? It's really a wonderment to me, and it's a wonderment to themselves. We're all completely at a loss. We're all completely confused as to know what set have we got, or is it the beautiful greens that I was talking about earlier on, the people that are firmly inside in bed with, the people that will be remembered forever for being inside in bed with, and for selling your souls for power to be inside in bed with the greens, and you'll never be let forget it. And all of the horrible things that they're doing, all the impositions of additional carbon taxes, all of the attacks on the people of Ireland that you're performing every day, he'll be remembered for it forever. And when the wrath of God will come down on top of you, when the voters will go out to vote, he'll wonder, how did that happen? Well, you'll remember nights like tonight. And you will say, yes, maybe if I'd listened to Sinn Féin, maybe if I'd listened to the rural independents, maybe if I'd listened to the other people that were saying, yes, listen to common sense, maybe then you won't find yourselves in the positions that I'm sure that you're going to find yourselves in. And no one of us knows who's going to be where or where anybody's going to be, but I know one thing, I know where the voters are going to be, and they're not going to be on your side. Because the day you attack the working people, the day that you won't help the people that are trying to make a living, my God, it's the most fundamental thing in the whole world. And in Ireland, we've a coast all around us. And God knows it's been eroded enough, the livelihood that they had by the bad deals that have been done out in Europe, and the way they've been continuously shafted and sold down the river and sold down the Swanee, and all the times that they've been neglected and left down by this and successive governments in the past. And how it's a miracle that they're in existence at all. We're trying to encourage young people there, and I've spoken to fishermen about this, who desperately want to see members of their families, the new younger generation, they want to see them continuing, and they're very despondent. And I mean, anybody looking in tonight and listening to your contributions, listening to what was said earlier on about your previous contributions, and then to see the way the government is resisting our ordinary amendments here that we're trying to put forward to try and make it more acceptable for fishing people to make their living. And all of our amendments are being rubbished. And why? Because they're coming from us. I mean, well, they can't come from yourselves because the Greens won't allow you. And like, it's just a horrible, horrible, horrible situation. And you know, they are listening tonight. Please don't think we're inside here on our own. Farmers are watching and listening. Their representative groups are. Fishermen and their representative groups. They're watching, they're listening, and they're looking at the way people are voting. And if anybody thinks when they're rowing in behind you tonight that they're blindly rowing in and that nobody is watching, that nobody is taking notice, that nobody is going to remember, I can tell you they will remember. And they'll remember who was what and what they were doing and where they were doing it from. And people will know how people vote on these amendments. And you can be sure they will. And if the press don't report it, the groups themselves that are representing them and the fisher people and the farmers themselves, they'll know it and they'll remember it. And it's an awful thing to do. And I really, I'm amazed that just to give people an additional time to prepare to stand up for themselves against the wrath of the government if they are being taken to court for an alleged offence. But of course, a fisherman commits an offence when he pulls up or she pulls up her trousers in the morning, as far as you're concerned, because they shouldn't be at it in the first instance. And that is a fact. And you can laugh all you like, but I can tell you one thing, there's no fisherman or there's no fishing woman or a fishing family laughing at that statement, because they do feel like they're criminals. The exact same as a lorry driver that gets into his lorry in the morning or her lorry in the morning, they feel like criminals. Because they're being targeted. Working people are being targeted by this government and the agencies of the state that are supposed to be representing the people, but instead they're representing something else.
Thank you, Deputy Healy-Rae.